What's up, everybody? Electrician back at you with another live. What is going on with you guys? So today we got a good show for you guys. We're gonna be talking about just the poor craftsmanship that we got in electrical, right? Just a lot of the times we're just blowing and going, right, in the electrical field, and the quality goes out the window, man. And today we're here to talk about that. We're here to talk about that in electrical, we still have to have quality in our work, right? We do the work. A lot of people say, you don't see it from my house. A lot of people say, oh, once the drywall goes up, you don't see it no more and stuff like that. But you remember what you're doing. You take the photos, right? And you look at the work that you've done. Or you got people that don't even take photos, right? And you wonder why they don't take photos. Because some people do great work, right? You'll see a lot of the GCs, they see all different type of trades. But electricians, electrical foremen, they oversee everything. So they're the ones that are probably gonna have the best photos in their camera roll. But hey, there's also some bad ones too. And I got some pretty bad ones on my camera roll. And today, that's what we're going to show you guys. We're going to show you some of the bad camera roll pictures that we got in your photos that you've taken in your phone, right? This is a call-in show. So if you guys want to call in, guys, the number's right there, 702-530-2750. Your man's Electrician, and that's what we got going on for you guys today at the Daily Spark. So this is our second show at the Daily Spark. And like I said, if you missed the first one, it's kind of like an introduction video, right? Some sort of podcast turned into a call-in show. First, it was more or less just to document what we were doing, right? And then we started shifting the gears to education, right? And then so now what we want to do is the Daily Spark show. And that's what we want to do here at Electrician, is just talk about the daily electrical lives that we got going on as electricians, or the things that we've done in the past, and share the stories, share tips of the trade, things to watch out for. And there's a lot of apprentices that need to learn. Another thing is that we got to establish a time that we're going to do it all the time, right? And that's something that I got to get involved with the people too as well. I need your feedback, right? And that's what's going to help my show even better. Your feedback. Would you guys like a show like this in the morning time or evening time, right? I used to listen to a podcast just to get me through the workday, just not watch it literally, but what I would do is I would open up YouTube. It would be open, and I'd put it in my pocket, but I'm always listening to it as I'm working, right? But then they would do an evening show too, where I would tune in, right? Actually watch it. So I guess my question to you guys is that I can't do two shows at once. When would you guys like it better? Would you guys like the show better in the morning time or in the evening time, right? When you guys are out of work, or would you guys like it during work? That's another thing we got to talk about the show. But if you're here, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because like I said, this is a brand new show called The Daily Spark, and we are going to be talking about all electrical, things. Could be tools, could be, tips and tricks on how you do things, how you bend pipe, any type of thing that you guys got related. Like I said, this is a call-in show. So you see the number up there. You could call in anytime. If you don't want to call in today, like I said, store the number, call in later. And hey, text me your story. I'll read it out loud. You know what I mean? But today we're going to show you what we got on our camera roll, right? These are things that we've encountered. So, because obviously we don't have any callers yet, but we do got some things on our end, on our phone. So first, let me show you this cool new strut that they got going on. This strut is it's got holes everywhere, right? Not just on the top, it's got them on the side. So you can mount it sideways. You can mount it just, like regular strut, but they have these wings that just clip in. I installed it on just all thread. We didn't get the whole adjustables, but these new struts are pretty cool, man. They're just adjustable struts. Maybe you guys have seen them before. I'll go ahead and put it up here. See how they got the holes on the side? But we hung them up on all thread just like that. Just the old school method, but it takes forever. You gotta, lay your laser out or whatever you're using to measure it and put them up. That's how we got it going on there. And this is at an Amazon facility right here. And we got them all hung up. Shot them with all lasers. Lasers going sideways. Lasers going up. On beam clamps. Yeah. So and then I was just showing you. Because we had used the regular size ones. I mean the ones that they supplied, but they had messed it up for us.
Just to apologize.
Yeah, so these are other videos that I want to show you too as well. See, it places them here on the bottom. So this is what we're looking at right here. Let's start to take a look at this one here. So this is a messed up job right here, where the apprentice did one strap probably every 10 feet. Put the wrong size strap on there. See, that's about a 3/4 inch strap on a MC. Definitely not a 3/8 strap. So yeah. That's the type of work that we get sometimes working with these apprentices, like they just don't get it. They just don't get it. Let's take a look at this video here. And here we have, this is how it looks when you're
a lot of times they don't see
deep in the attic. That's deep in the attic right there, boys. Sometimes 120 degrees here, depending on the weather. But that's deep in the attic there. You see, it's hard to turn around in there, man. You're inside that attic in there and you get stuck, you get to panicking, man. And then a lot of times, this is not so bad, but a lot of times you have nails that'll poke you, so you can't even like raise your, you know what I mean? You can't even raise up in there like that sometimes. So, yeah. And let's take a look here. Got some more videos for you guys. Y'all hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Here we go. You guys take a look at this here. They wired up the...
Wow.
This is a ceiling fan right here.
Look at this right here. What do we have here? What is this? What do we do with this? How do we...
Check this out.
Says there's an issue. What do we do? I don't know.
That's how you fix that right there.
I don't know what to do.
That's how you fix that right there.
I can't fix none of this.
You see that?
Nope.
I'm not touching none of that.
None of this. You know why we're not fixing none of this? Because that's not up to code. You cannot put all that stuff in a ceiling fan box, okay? You are not going to set anybody up for that. I will not let this happen.
Let's go. Yes, sir.
I will not touch this. I will come to a customer's home and say, I will not touch this unless I can do this to it. I am rewiring it the correct way, and we are not going to add on to this. Matter of fact, I won't even touch this.
Nah, we that was just for the video for real, but we will work on, like, I have to work on stuff all the time that we don't agree, but it does sound good for the video though, for real, but we were rewiring the house anyways. That was a job a long time ago, And that was the only reason why we were able to do that. And I was like, we can make a video. It's pretty cool, you know. But let's go back to the beginning of that video though. Let's take a look here. So as you can see, you have all type of stuff there, right? You have your 12 twos, your 12 threes. By the look of it, you probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 wires going inside of it, right? 6 12 twos and 12 threes mixed in with each other, right? And this is obviously what I ended up knowing this by troubleshooting. So they had 3-way switches, right? And they didn't know how to wire them. So all the wiring went up in the box, up at the very top box. So instead of bringing your power on one side and your switch leg on the other, they just came up with it, you know? And they were doing the travelers up in the box up there. So that's why you had such a congested box. Maybe they were pulling another circuit from somewhere else. They did have additional light in there. So they were probably pulling like other switch legs from there too as well. But that's why they got that, all them. And if you look, it's a telescopic box too. That's one of the boxes that you get. It's a telescopic box. So, you know, that's at the wire. It was a mess. It was a mess. But yeah, we're glad we were able to rewire that problem. It definitely saves a lot of problems for the future electricians. And
This right here.
you know,
What do we have here?
that's something that
What is
you know, fire hazard. I don't know.
What do we do with this?
Wagos are pretty good. We used to call those fire starters. Those Wagos right there, little clips.
There's an issue.
We used to call those fire starters, but man, they've been holding up pretty good. A lot of times in the union, they use a lot of Wagos in the union because they can't trust people to twist their wires correctly. So they give them Wagos, you know. They just simplify everything. Where they found less problems with Wagos than actual manually people stripping and twisting and trusting them to put a wire in up properly. So they just gave everybody Wagos, and it saves a bunch of problems, you know. They just pop them right in, and that's the way the stream's been going. And I'd say the last 3, 4, 5 years, the Wagos been just taking off.
You cannot put
Full-blown buildings built with Wagos, you know. And
you are not gonna set anybody.
worst thing that happens is a little Wago, you know, but falls off or something. You know, they didn't clip it in properly. Or you know, obviously some's not up to size or something, then it burns the Wago right off. Does do that, but it could do that to a wire nut too. So, all right, moving on down. Here we go. So here we go. Let's take a look. Let's turn this up.
Stays here, but it doesn't go anywhere else. Faint signal over here.
So we got the toner hooked up to it.
Take a look.
So we got.
We're gonna cut this out, mark it out.
Hold on, before we cut this, let me go ahead and put some context to this video, right? So I was at this troubleshoot, right? We're troubleshooting this short, and we have this wire coming in, right? Wire coming in, and a wire coming in, and it was shorting out that room. Well, I wanted to know where this wire was going because I ended up taking all the outlets apart and found that it was this wire right here. The one at the very bottom. I can't. Let me see. Can you guys see my cursor? No, I don't think you can see it. My arrow. You guys can't see my arrow. So there's where my toner's hooked up to it. So my toner's hooked up to the wire that I was toning. So those ones that I'm hooked onto, right? That's where I'm toning. I tried to tone them. It didn't go nowhere. It didn't. So I'm like, what the heck? They're not going anywhere. It has to be local. It has to be somewhere right here in this area. So I wanted to cut that little piece out to see what was going on behind this. Let's take a look.
So here we toned it. Stays here, but it doesn't go anywhere else.
This was a long time ago too. I remember this.
Went ahead and we're gonna cut this out, marked it out with our level. But we're gonna go cut this out.
With La Chillona. Let's turn it down a little bit. Yeah, that's the crybaby. I call her the crybaby. In Spanish is a chillona. I say, hey, crybaby, go get the crybaby. They know what tool I need. Multi-tool. And I don't use a drywall saw blade. I actually use a metal blade. I find it to be fine. All right, so let's look.
So we're going to take a look behind to see what's the issue. And we're having an electrical issue here. So let's take a look.
Look at that.
See?
See, that's our short. That's what was shorting out that's what was shorting out the circuit.
So you got to look out for stuff like this. And that's why you could be getting a short in here. You can't make that up, you know?
You can't make that up. That's crazy right there. That's crazy. Found a whole box buried underneath back there. Look, it was literally just buried. And that box was just no wire nuts, no safety, no nothing in there. You see that? Just nothing. Shorting out. Definitely could have caught something on fire, especially right there with the insulation. Not meant to burn, but it could burn. Catches that paper, sometimes it could burn. Man. That's crazy. It's crazy. All right, moving on down. Got some more for you guys. So this right here, I call this the tablet of the worst electrical junction boxes ever. Okay. Crazy. I mean, when I say crazy,
Perfect.
crazy. Because what was more astonishing, I would say, that all this came from one house. It came from one house. And it was something where, I mean, you know, we want to say we've seen it all, but this is one of the first times I've ever seen a house this bad before. Let's just take a look for ourselves. You know what I mean? Let's look. Let's start here. Let me move my little cursor up a little bit. All right. Start at the bottom here. Can't really zoom in on there, but let's take a look. Let's bring us back over here. Take a look at this. Let's look at that. Look how they wrap the ground around there. Look at the ground. Then you have white separated, probably meaning there was two separate circuits in there. Your wires are so short inside of this shallow box for this 4S shallow. And the way they wrapped the ground, they didn't even bother stabbing it in the Wago. They just said, hey, we're just going to wrap it around the ground, right? Oh, man, that's crazy. I mean, at this point, why do you even use a box? What's the whole you don't even need a box at this point. Let's keep looking at some more. Let's keep. It's plenty of more. That's for sure. That one don't look too bad. But look at this one. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I didn't count that one. 10. 10 Romexes going inside of one of these octagon boxes. Lighting boxes, ceiling boxes. That's crazy work right there. Looked like he tied it all together. It was probably for lighting something. That much electrical going in lighting. God, moving on down. And this one here, how many we got in there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I count 7. 1 all in neutrals. We have this red dangler over here doing I don't know what. Another lighting box. Probably brought the switch legs on the box again. One of those California switch leg things they used to do. Just bring one wire to the to the switch. Oh, you moving too fast. Let's see what we got right here. How many we got right there? All right, so we had one up. Because it's crazy, man. No jackets on the tile. Let's see, had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 wires inside of one ceiling box. Ceiling lighting box. Wow, that's crazy. Look at all different sizes. Like nothing is consistent here. Look at this jumper. Look at this jumper on this ground. I know you can't. I don't have a cursor here. I need a cursor. That's what I need here. Let me know down in the chat if you can see my mouse. Probably not, right? But I need a cursor. That's what I need to get next is a cursor. So you guys can see my cursor because I want to show you guys what I'm pointing. Something like a pointer, right? Okay, moving on down. Let's take a look. That's crazy work, yo. Hold on. Look at this little stubby right here. They left like 1 inch out the, the code is to have at least 5-6 inches out the box, the tip of the box, not the inside of the box. Some people count the inside. It's the outside of the box. You could correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. I'm not. I don't mind getting corrected, but 6 inches out the box. Look, they ain't even leave you a ½ inch out the box. This is like it's crazy work. Look at the way they wrap the ground too on this other box. All right, let's move on down. This one just looks all messed up, man. Golly, this stuff just looks terrible. Yeah. That was all in the ceiling inside of an attic somewhere. All right, moving on down. 2024, baby. All right, so let's move on down. Let's see what else we got in here. All right, so we got that. We saw that. Here we go. That's another one right here. That was an apology to one of my bosses because I'm the one who hired the guy, and I'm the one who spoke good about the guy and got him on board, and this is the crap that he left me with right here. And just like that, just because I hire you on don't mean that I can't take you out either. Because what's the use of having you on the job site if I just got to go back and do everything that you didn't do correctly, Because that ain't correct. I don't know if you guys look at this. He tied it up there with some sort of string just to hold it up. No zip tie. 1, 2, 3 zip ties. Look, all that's dangling. Look how much is loose right there. Didn't even strap it. And when we questioned him about it, the only thing he said is, well, you're not supposed to run exposed MC in the ceiling when it's exposed ceilings. You're not supposed to run MC in exposed ceilings. Well, that's what the manufacturer supplied us for these lighting. All these lightings were already, if you know about these locks, they're already measured. We just put them up. But everything is labeled. Like, they have labels on how they're supposed to go because it's all accounted for. It's accounted for on a computer. So you're going to have some extra wiring here and there. So you have to run it from one end to the other and make it tight, right? And at the very end, make a loop, right? Like a service loop. Or you can measure it out somewhat accordingly and make 2 service loops to make it look nice on both ends. You could do that too as well. But in this case, he just ran it however he wanted to. It's crazy work. It's crazy work. And this is somebody that I hired on. This is somebody that I had got. I felt bad for the guy. He got fired from another company, and I was like, wow, the company let him go. He was working there for many, many years. And then he came over here, and it's just like nothing. And that's another thing that was on the topic today was, have you checked out of work already? And what I mean by that is being an electrician. Have you checked out of being an electrician, right? Because in this trade, it's the spark. It's the spark, right? It's the spark that we have in electrical that keeps us going, right? It's us. I can't imagine drywallers just like, wow, my job is amazing. But you do see it though on Instagram. You see their jobs being amazing, but our job is amazing, man. Electricians, we do some of the finest work that there is. A lot of times you walk in and you see just the work that you've done and you're like, damn, that's amazing, And that's why I started taking pictures of of what we do. But some electricians just lose that spark where it's like they don't care about how it looks. They don't care about making it look good. The first thing that a person like that says is, first, it takes too long. How long did it take? They have a certain thing where they say, well, if it looks good, it took a long time. That's not always necessarily the case. Because I see people quickening, hurrying up things, getting stuff done. And at the end, you look at it, first of all, it doesn't look good. Second of all, they have to go back and tweak some things because of this. They cut the corners. It doesn't function properly, right? Like the layout wasn't thought out, But when you put in the extra time, when you actually have the time, right? Because I'm not saying you always have the time, right? The electrical is up and down. You know what I mean? Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And sometimes you got to get stuff done. And I agree with that. Sometimes you do have to get stuff done. Where they say, hey, look, man, today, bruh, put it in the walls, By the time you even blink, is going to be covered up. Put it in the walls. If they say that, let's do it. We're putting it in the walls. Don't matter. If it don't look, it's going in. I agree with that. I don't mind that. But I'm talking about these exposed ceilings, Amazon runs, right? These storefronts, nice luxury stores, right? A lot of those are all open. Those type right there. That's when the real badasses come in. That's when the real people come in that know how to take that precision and key word lasering precision, right, to details. I'm talking about those details where you're 50 foot in the ground, 40 foot in the ground, and everything just looks perfect, right? And that's what I'm talking about. The craftsmanship is somewhat gone today, right? And I blame the OGs in a way too, because they're the ones paving the way for the new people. And the new people, I'm going to tell you, they're all about Instagram. They're all about this social media. A lot of times they got in it because of that, right? You got a lot of people coming in the trade now because of social medias and stuff like that. So with that being said, I blame it on the OGs that are not teaching the game well. Because I learned from somebody that had pride in their game, man. Great electrician. I'm talking about he was amazing at what he did. And that right there is what I looked up to, And to this day, I remember just trying to be like him, like just in the things and how he did things. And he was so calm about things, And I went through my phases too as well, where I was like, let's get it done. Good. I'm fast, right? I'm quick. I can run circles around people. But I did mistakes too as well, that I would always fix them before anybody even noticed. That's how fast I was. I was just boop, 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 fix the mistake, and nobody ever knew I made a mistake, right? But the pride was still there, and that's what made me kept going, where I want to say, look, today, I blame it on the OGs, first of all. And second of all, some people's spark is just leaving, right? And I feel like that's very important in the trade, to pass off the torch to another young buck electrician coming up in the game, to show them how it's done, right? To at least pass on the torch in the right direction, right? Know that you passed on the torch, that this electrician, because look, I could say I've I've made electricians. I have made electricians. I'll pat myself on the back because nobody's gonna do it for me, right? I've made electricians where apprentices that came up under me, learned from me. I've taught them their ways, and I love teaching people who want to learn, right? And I just watch them today, and they're great electricians. Let me tell you that. Great electricians, man. It's just the mindset of everything. Like I always tell people, electrical is so easy, right? And it's easy because you make it easy. But you can't cut corners, though. You that's one thing. When you're laying out a run, you have to do every single step, right? To doing this. When you're making out a panel, you have to do every single step to that. You can't skip any corners. When you're making up a junction box, you have to do every step. And it's the same steps. When you're making up a receptacle, even down to making up a receptacle, you have to do the same steps. You do not make a receptacle 50 different times because you're doing 50 different receptacles. No, you find a way how to do one, the same, that's the best, efficient way to do it, and you do that 50 times. You're only making up a panel. So find the best way to make up a panel and keep those same steps in the back of your head 50 different times. The same thing with junction boxes. If you're doing a junction box, figure out the best way to make up a junction box. Get your grounds together, put them all to one corner. I like to keep them out sometimes. Sometimes I like to pack them in as I'm going, depending on how I'm going. But keep those same steps, right? And that's what's going to give you repetition. Is going to give you muscle memory. You're going to get that muscle memory. You're going to be able to do things without even thinking about it. It's the same thing. But like everything in life, right? It's the learning curve. Every single job that you go to and you start, it's always going to be a learning curve. By the time you're in the middle of the job, you're going to get it figured out. By the time you're at the end, you're going to be an expert at it. And then your job is done. So by the time you're at expert at something, it's pretty much done. Then you go to a new job and you got to figure it all out again. And the reason why I say that, yeah, it's the same junction boxes, the same panels, those are the same steps. But what changes is the environments, conditions, obstacles, the walls offset. All that's pushed in 300 feet away. All those things change. It changes the size of pipe, size of wire. All type of things change. How much more you got to get, how many more men you got to get, how many more lifts you got to get. Those are the only things that change. But what don't ever change is the spark inside of us, right? The will to get out there and do it and know that it's going to last for a lifetime. Because I remember earlier in the game, when I first started, I would do things and wonder if it's still there. Now I drive by so many places. It's like, I worked on that place, and a lot of them, already came and gone and changed and stuff like that, because I've done a lot of work here in the city since I was 18 years old. And, that's how it is. We drive by everywhere. We've done work everywhere. And that's the reputation that you take with you. You take that reputation, you take the credibility, you take the workmanship, you take all that with you, And people don't forget, let me tell you. People don't forget where people come from, because I know a lot of people they remember where I couldn't have been to offset, But look how far I've came. I see people a lot of times say, damn, bro, you got far. Well, a lot of people saw potential in me and gave me the opportunity. I didn't ask for it. It was given to me. I remember when I first started running work, I told my foreman, or actually the owner of the company, I was like, ugh, are you sure? He's like, nah, you got this. No, you got this. I'm not going to let you fail. You got this. And a lot of times, sometimes that's what you need. You need that little push, right? We know what we're doing. We know what we got to do. If you have to take the prints home, take them home. Study. I remember the first time I ever got a raise, side story. I remember the first time I ever got a raise, I was like 19, because I started when I was 18, but I was like 19, a year into it. And my boss told me, he said, if you want to raise, take these prints home, and I want you to write down on those prints how to get this job started. I want material list. I want you to write me what type of pipe you're going to run, the circuits. I want you to write out a very detailed and give me a presentation on how you're going to run this job site. And I'm 19 years old, right? I didn't get to run nothing, but I did. It kept me busy at home learning some stuff, you know? It kept me busy taking the prints home, learning things I didn't know what I was looking at in the beginning. But I was a year into it, so I knew what the things was. I knew what stuff was on the prints. So it's not I wasn't in my first day either, but so I took them home, wrote them down, did everything to the best of my knowledge with the ruler, pencil. It's my circuit 12. You know, my pipe's gonna run this way. It's gonna be this size, this many wires inside of it. And then I took it back to him, and I did a presentation and said, "Hey, this is how I'm gonna do it." He was very impressed, and I got $1 raise. This was in say 2009, right? Something like that. 2008, 2009, and that's my point. You know, it depends on how much you want to learn in this electrical game, and start at the bottom. That's another topic that we want to have here on Electrician too. We want to have a few topics, right? We want to have our next topic is going to be union versus non-union, because I've worked in both of those. Worked for the union and I worked for the non-union most of my career. And we need to debate on both of those with you guys. Go ahead, put down on the chat. What do you guys think? And we can highlight those on our Lex Daily Spark. But another one is going to be union versus non-union, and then we're gonna have, let's say, tools versus tools, right? What kind of tools you guys want? What kind of tools do you guys like? DeWalt versus Milwaukee. Have to keep that going. That's a feud that's never gonna go out, right? Klein versus Nipix. What do you guys do? Which one is really? Because I'm a Klein guy. If it ain't Klein, it ain't mine. You know. But hey, I know a lot of people write with the nitpicks. A lot of people don't even say that's how you say it, but that's another one. And got to get some debates going. Again, this is a call-in show, so let's see if we got any. See if we got any callers. I don't think we do, but if we do, we will see them. And I encourage you guys to call in. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. You guys can tell us some stories, you know, about what you guys experience in the field too as well. You know, it would be great to hear your stories. I mean, that's what makes a show. A lot of people want to hear your stories, and you'll be part of the community too as well. Remember, we're just here to help. We're here to get you through your day. We're here to get you through life here on YouTube. You know what I mean? That's what we're here on YouTube for. But again, the Daily Spark on YouTube. This is your man, Electrician. And we're going to do this some more. We're 38 minutes in. I love just being live with you guys. And it's not scheduled yet. Like I said, once we get the sponsors, say from like Milwaukee, or I've been talking to Racketeers. Racketeers just needs to see the flow of it. So you guys hit that thumbs up, man. You guys really hit that thumbs up so we can get those sponsors, because that's what they want to see. I'm telling you. Hit those thumbs up, because that's what they want to see. Those sponsors want to see those thumbs up get hit. And they want to see the traction that we were having behind the people. And they'll make it possible. They'll make it possible, right? So till the next one, we're going to end it here for the Daily Spark today. And like I said, you guys leave a comment down below on how we can fix the show. So, to the next one. Peace.